Hello, I'm Lucas. This is a bit of late, and going to talk about Book 10 of Paradise Lost. And this is the fallout of the actions of Adam and Eve after eating from the Tree of Knowledge, after Eve was manipulated by Satan, who took the form of a snake and said, I gained all these powers and all this knowledge from eating the fruit of this tree that you are not meant to eat from. Yeah. And, after that, Adam and Eve eats. Eve decides Adam should have it. Adam decides, well, I can't let you be punished alone. And then he thinks to himself, what's God really gonna do? And then, they have their fun. They wake up, they go to sleep, they wake up, and they realize they have gained only knowledge of evil and the good that they've lost. And they feel ashamed of themselves and start blaming each other. And this book follows up on that. There's a lot to discuss. I'll try to bring up everything that I remember. I read this a couple weeks ago and then just kind of didn't take the notes like I had been. Anyway, Gabriel and everybody, Raphael, Michael, whoever, all the angels come to God and say, well, we tried our best to defend, but they still, Satan still got to them, and God says, I know. I allowed it, I don't condone it, but it is what it is, and I'm going to send my son to exact punishment. And they talk to Jesus, and Jesus listens to Adam. He feels guilty. He says, Eve gave me the fruit. Eve says the serpent tricked me. And Jesus, Son of God, God himself, says, well, no serpents will be able to stand anymore. They'll be on their bellies, and they're always going to bite at the ankles of humans. And by the way, men are now going to have to labor for their food and toil through cursed ground, and women are going to feel pain when they're pregnant or when they give birth, and all these horrible things we didn't have until they ate from the tree of knowledge. And yeah, that is the punishment. They're also going to be kicked out eventually. Satan ends up making his way back to hell. The little bridge from hell to earth is being completed, or has been completed, and he meets sin and death, his grandchild, who's also his child, his children, and also one of them is his grandchildren, and then also the dogs, which are his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren. They congratulate him. He sends them on their way so that they can conquer Earth. Death can do what death does, and sin can tempt them. And later, I think we have discord or tumult, or I can't remember. Anyway, animals start fighting each other and humans, and it just causes a lot of trouble. But Satan continues to make his way back to Pandemonium, the capital of hell, to tell all his little demon friends, fallen angel friends, that we have won, or we're going to win. We're well on our way. He's going to damn them, and we're going to conquer them, and all that stuff. And He's expecting to hear great applause, but all he hears is like they're scorning him, because they've all been turned into snakes, and so has he, because God has willed it that way. And that's what God meant, or the Son of God, who is God, meant when he said, "No snakes shall stand up." I know I've missed a point or two already. The next little bit, I believe, is about Adam and Eve. And they start, again, blaming each other. And Adam wishes that he could be the only one punished. Then he really, really starts blaming Eve and says it's because she's a woman that all this happened and it's her fault. And Eve just accepts that. She sinned against God and against him, and it's her fault. Adam then decides, no, I fell for it too. We both failed. Yeah, that part is really cringeworthy. I mean, up until the point no, we're both to blame. Oh yeah, finally, some personal responsibility, Adam, thanks for that. Adam kind of wishes he was dead, and Eve does too, and Eve says, well, we could take our lives, and Adam says, no, why would we do that? And then I believe he comes to the conclusion that there is some hope left for them, and that all they have to do is work hard to be better and ask for forgiveness and confess their sins and all that. All that stuff. Yeah, so there's that. I would like to read some parts. Starting with this. Thy sorrow I will greatly multiply by thy conception. Children thou shalt bring in sorrow forth, and to thy husband's will thine shall submit. He over thee shall rule. On Adam that last thus judgment he pronounced, because thou hast hearkened to the voice of thy wife, and eaten of the tree concerning which I charged thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat thereof. Cursed is the ground for thy sake, thou in sorrow shalt eat thereof all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles it shall bring thee forth unbid, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground, for thou out of the ground wast taken. Know thy birth. For dust thou art, and shalt to dust return. Okay? Women now have to be obedient to men, as well as feel pain when they give birth, and they're going to eat food that they have to work for in ground that's just not good for them. And sorry about that, my face was itching. Anyway, then let's read the part about Satan returning to heaven, or to hell. Let's see, where. They all him followed, issuing forth to the open field, where all yet left of that revolted rout, heaven fallen in station stood or just array, sublime with expectation win to see in triumph issuing forth their glorious chief. They saw, but other sight instead, a crowd of ugly serpents, horror on them fell, and horrid sympathy. For what they saw they felt themselves now changing. Down their arms, down fell both spear and shield, down as they fast, and the dire hiss renewed, and the dire form catched by contagion, like in punishment as in their crime. Thus was the applause they meant turned to exploding hiss, triumph to shame cast on themselves from their own mouths. Yeah. pretty intense, and really, again, how can you go wrong with the poetry of Milton? His language choices are really stark and dramatic and powerful, and give great depth to the situation. Anyway, I will finish up in the next 2 days for book 11 and book 12. Probably book 11 I'll do later today, actually. Well, for me, it'll be later today. For you, probably, if you're in America, like most of you are, you will see it on a new day if you watch. So, yeah, thank you. Bye.